Welcome to Every Single Journey, a family life original podcast for singles. My name is Becki. Let's explore the ups and downs of singleness together while remembering that our relationship with Jesus is far more important than our relationship status. Are you stuck in the past, caught in the future, or have so much FOMO that you can't enjoy the here and now? How do we live fully in the present while also preparing for our future? Joining us to discuss this are Bailey.
Hi, I'm Bailey, and I love all kinds of sports.
And Jack.
Hi, I'm Jack, and I work in the IT department.
Bailey, what are some of your thoughts on this?
So I think it would make sense to start with talking about the past when we're trying to live in the moment. So I was just thinking about past and just thinking if I have any past regrets that just kind of change how I think or interact with people. But as I was thinking, I'm like, I cannot think of any regrets I have.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, and I think it just made me think that to overcome regrets, I think maybe people might not like this answer, but I think it just takes time, because I was thinking of maybe some situations in my life where maybe I had regrets at the time, but when I think of it now, I don't. I just think of them as learning and growing opportunities. So I think that's just because of these years that have gone by and just kind of trying each day to live in God's grace and just rely on his mercies being new each morning. I think that's a verse in Lamentations, but just to overcome the past, just live in the moment and accept God's grace each day.
I think sometimes with those regrets, in that moment, it can seem very devastating, but in the future or the present now, looking back on the past, it can be like, okay, yeah, I made a mistake, but that was a good learning and growing moment. And the thing about the past is that's what got you here today. That's kind of what formed who you are, the person, and your personality, how you interact with others, those different things. And you might regret some things, but looking back, they were also growth opportunities, which I think is good.
And I think those growth opportunities can come in different forms, whether it's a decision we made that we look back on and maybe for a time regret until we decide to process through it and look at it as a growth opportunity and what we learned and how we changed through that. And I think they can also come from things that happen to us outside of our control that we can get paralyzed in and in a sense regret, or look back on and wish hadn't happened to us because it robbed something from us. And I'm particularly thinking of my health issues and all of the different autoimmune problems that I have, and how that from 14 years old dictated my life. And so in a lot of ways, as I was trying to find healing and move forward in that and just learn how to live with that, I can get stuck in a place of pity and regret and look back and really just kind of pity myself for the things that happened to me because I have no control over it. It's just how my body reacts to different things, and I have to learn to live and deal with that. But then I can also throw such a big pity party of woe is me, it robbed me of my teenage years and all of the fun things that people get to experience during that. And it's kind of like this hidden thing that you have to figure out how to explain to people, and then can be a lot of rejection and all of that kind of stuff. So I can go down that trail and then turn that into, well, what's the point of trying to still continue to do that? It's not something that the medical world has been able to find a cure for yet. There are a lot of different things I can do to lead a normal life, so most people don't even notice that I live with a chronic illness and I live with health issues. But it can very easily turn into, oh, well, kind of what's the point of trying to live in this moment and to experience now and to look into the future, because I'm always going to battle this thing that happened in the past and is still happening in the present. And, well, we're going to have a conversation about all the fun things we did in our teen years. And I'm like, well, mine's very limited. And so for me, it can be a growth opportunity in the fact that I can look at it from the perspective of, yes, that happened to me, woe is me, or yes, that happened to me, but here are a lot of the fun things I got to experience. And here's a different perspective on some things that not a lot of people would necessarily have. So similar to what you guys are saying, I could look at it as a regret and I could get stuck there, or I could look at it as a growth opportunity and how it's molded and shaped me into who I am today, and to have a better understanding in some areas for people who have similar things or more compassion, or just however the Lord has used that to grow me today.
I like how you brought up people with like similar situations, because when we go through something and learn a lot through that, I think it's really important to help others who may have had the same experience. And it's almost like we go through these like heavy situations and regrets, but it makes us stronger, and we can just relate to other people, encourage them too.
So now that we've touched on the past, do we want to jump to FOMO in the present, or do we want to jump to fear of the future, how the future affects us from living in the moment?
I feel like the future is definitely a hard one.
Okay, please elaborate.
It's so easy to worry. Mm-hmm. Because there's so many different factors that, just thinking about the future, you're like, okay, I have to consider my job and where I'm going to live and how I'm going to pay my bills and my relationship. What do I do in my free time? And all these different things. It's just really easy to like kind of panic sometimes and be like, I got nothing. And that is really the tough part about it, because you have no clue what's going to happen tomorrow, later today, in a year, 5 years, 10 years, where it's going to be. And the thing a lot of people say is, just trust in God's plan, and it's a lot easier said than done. It takes time to get there for sure. But it's something that I've started to work on, is not worrying so much about the future and trusting more in the Lord and what He has for me.
The future is challenging for me, partially because it's easy to worry. But I think the thing that I worry the most about is, am I going to make a wrong decision about my future that I'm going to end up in a terrible situation or regret later, or maybe that's not what the Lord's will was for me, and I made this decision and now I'm way off the path over in left field. And reminding myself that I am not big enough, I'm not strong enough, I'm not in control enough to destroy God's will and plan for my life.
Absolutely.
Like that line of thinking that I could do that would put me above the Lord, and I definitely am not meant to be there. So reminding myself that I need to have the correct view of what I am and am not capable of. It's like, I can fear and live in that fear and get caught in worry of making the wrong choice. And then I find myself just not making any choice. Or I do the exact opposite and I'm like, okay, I want a relationship, or I want this particular career path. I'm going to laser focus in on that and not worry about anything else. I'm like, let's just pick one thing instead of all of those things, like the list you were talking about, Jack, of your career, a relationship, a house, all of those different things that play into our lives. I'm like, oh, well, let's just focus on one and forget the others. Which again doesn't necessarily help, because then I'm only focused on one and everything else in life is happening full speed. And I'm like, but my future depends on this career path. Yeah, no, not quite so much. Yes, maybe, but not to the degree that I take it.
Yeah, I think perspective is really important. I'm going to be honest. I am like completely opposite of you guys. I'm not a very like future, like goal oriented person. And I think it's just because of the season I'm in, just because I've been at the same job for a while and I don't have a relationship, so I don't have to think about what the future will be like with someone yet. And I don't know if it's a bad thing. I don't really think about my future that much. I think it's just because sometimes I can get into the temptation of thinking things like, oh, my life doesn't start until I'm married, or my life doesn't start until this happens with my job, or things like that. So I've been really trying to just focus on where I am now, and just change my perspective and just try to abide with God each day and build habits every day to just train me to develop my relationship with God. For example, just like reading scripture, praying, having fellowship with other people. And a verse I think about often is Colossians 3:17. And whatever you do in word or deed, do everything in the name of the Lord Jesus, giving thanks to God the Father through him. And I just think the perspective of doing everything for God every day and just living in that joy just really helps me not fear the future too much or really think about it. So I don't know if it's not a good thing to really have goals in my life, but that's kind of just the season I'm in right now.
I think those of us who are currently or will struggle with the fear of the future and what we want or the goals or the desires that we have could learn a lot from what you just shared, because you've shared with me before that one of your desires is to get married and have a family. Mm-hmm. So you have that desire, you have that goal, but you have a great perspective because right now you're focusing on the here and the now and abiding in the Lord. And when you take that step into a relationship, that's when you want to focus on it rather than doing what I can tend to do, which is I'm not in a relationship right now, but my mind can go further and be like, well, if I am in a relationship, then these things have to change, or this is going to complicate this, or it would make it harder, or it would make, I don't have to go to the movies by myself. I can go with a special someone. I mean, I could just go to the movies with a group of friends, but my mind can get stuck in that future and that fear of missing out and wanting that so much that I don't have the right perspective. So I love that you shared that perspective that you have, because it's so encouraging to me hearing of like, oh, I need to work on my perspective on this to help me as I fight those concerns and fears of the future.
Mm-hmm. I have a very silly example, but sometimes I can be like, oh, I can't wait until I get a boyfriend so I can show him all these movies and shows that I've seen so many times, but I'd rather watch with someone new. But then I'm like, why do I have to wait for a boyfriend to do that? So I feel like for the past couple months, I've been watching a lot of my favorite shows and stuff with friends and just having a good time with friends. Just again, shifting my perspective. My life doesn't start when I'm married or have someone in my life.
I really like that point, because sometimes it does feel like, oh, I'm kind of waiting for this. This is the next big thing almost sometimes, if you're not working on your career a lot, or you're comfortable where you're at, or there's other things going on. But that can really feel like the next big thing, and that's kind of sometimes what you're looking forward, and you're like, well, I have all these things that I want to do when that happens. And sometimes it can be hard, if that's the mindset, to focus on the here and now. And there's sometimes a fine line between kind of preparing for that mentally and spiritually, and just living in the moment and enjoying what's going on right now, watching those movies with friends and spending time with them. Friends are such a great source of fellowship. When you're single and when you're married, either way, it's great to spend time with them. And I've just had so many fun moments with my friends, both while single and while dating. And so that's definitely something that helps keep you anchored in the moment, is do those things. Have, your buddies over and hang out and just chat about life. That's what I do a lot now, and it's great. Go out to breakfast. I don't know what you guys would do as girls necessarily, but have lots of fun and just live in the moment. Sometimes it can be really, again, back to worrying. Sometimes you worry a lot about the future, about what your relationship will look like. When's it going to happen? But sometimes it just comes naturally. You don't even see it coming, and then all of a sudden you're like, look at where I'm at now. So,
Jack, something that I can tend to do is forget the fact that my worries and concerns and things that keep me from living in the moment and missing out in the moment aren't necessarily going to change when I hit that next quote unquote stage of life and I'm in a relationship. So I'm specifically directing this question at you because you're currently in a relationship.
Yeah.
Have you found that, like Bailey was talking about, there were certain things that she wants to do with her boyfriend? And so she was waiting and then realized, I can do them now with my friends.
Yeah.
Now that you're in a different stage, so to speak, in a relationship, have you found that those worries are still there, and they're just slightly different, or have they completely gone away? Like, I don't know if you've ever had that thought of like, I want to wait and do this when I have a girlfriend, but along those lines.
So the worries definitely don't just go away. They don't stay the same, but they do shift. I mean, like, you're in a different perspective now. You're not single, you're dating, right? So now you're focused on, okay, now I'm with that special someone, kind of what's next? What's our life going to look like? Where are we going to live? When are we going to get married? Are we going to get married? There's a lot of things you have to work out, and it's like, okay, do we believe the same things?
As you're navigating those worries that remind me and help me to keep in perspective, yes, I have these worries now, and I need to work on how I react to them and not let them control me, and not let them distract me from living and enjoying the season and the moment that I'm in. How do you approach the season that you're in now in such a way that it doesn't distract you from fully enjoying this season of dating this particular person? Just in the same sense of how, and I'll speak to this later, but how do I and Bailey enjoy this season of being single and not letting the fear and the worry distract me from missing out on the here and now? Kind of like FOMO of missing out on missing out on an event because you already have something planned,
right? But
kind of like FOMO of a season.
Yeah. It can be really easy just to be like, okay, what's next? What's next? Let's go to the next step. Let's keep going. And there was different seasons where I had just started talking to my current girlfriend, and then we started dating and everything. And it's like, okay, I'm worrying about what's next. But that almost takes a little bit of the enjoyment out of it, because it's hard to focus on the now. And I think that's exactly what you're getting at.
Now that I've put you on the hot seat, I'll take you off the hot seat and put myself on the hot seat for a little bit. Because I find that what I need to do is remind myself that the fence isn't greener on the other side. A different season of life isn't necessarily greener pastures. Like, where I am now and today has its ups and its downs and its distractions and its fears and its worries and the past trying to like creep into there too. But the here and the now is here and now for a reason, and the Lord is working in it and growing and making me into the person who can better handle the future and better handle that next step. So when I find myself distracted by either the future and the fears and the worries that come with that, or the past and the regrets and the pity party that I could throw, I have to remind myself that the Lord is in the here and the now, just like he's in the future and just like he was in the past, and learning to do like what you were saying, Bailey, abide in him and abide with him and to know him more is truly what helps me to not be distracted by all of those different things that we've been talking about, and also reminds me, like the questions that I was asking you, Jack, of when I get to the next season, it's not going to completely fix and erase those worries. They're going to shift and they're going to change, but they're still going to be there. So if I can abide in the Lord and this season and remind myself this has a purpose and a plan, and there are a lot of good things around me, that helps me to fully enjoy being single and, in a sense, carefree in a good way, because I have more time on my hands. I have a ton of different things I want to achieve and can do, and I can focus on those. Where if I have a boyfriend, that's going to take away some of that time that I have to do that. But when I do have a boyfriend, it'll be a good thing. It'll just be different than what it is now. Bailey, I kind of want to put you on the hot seat because I've already put Jack on the hot seat, and then I kind of put myself there a little bit. How do you balance that? How do you balance living today without fear of missing out on something because of a future desire you have, or even there's so much happening right now that you can't be everywhere at once? How do you focus on what's in front of you today and enjoy that?
Yeah, I think for me, I really think about building habits. And because in the Bible, all throughout, it talks about sports and how we need to train and let us run with endurance. And I just think for me, for the past few years, I've been really trying to abide more with God, to read scripture every day, to pray more. That's something I'm really trying to work on. Just praying every chance I get. And also, again, I previously mentioned fellowship. I think that really helps us build and learn to just live in the moment with our friends. So I think building those habits for me, I've been noticing that it really does build contentment. And I think it really helps me balance when I'm thinking about the future and my desires. It really trains my brain to be content in the here and now, have fun with friends, and just, again, learning to abide in God. It can be difficult because I do get FOMO. So I try to say yes to everything when I get invited to things, but I have noticed recently that it does make it really hard to keep my schedule going and make sure I read scripture and things like that. So I think I'm still trying to work out that balance, but really just trying to also take Sunday as the Sabbath and try to rest in the Lord, not resting I'm just gonna sleep on the couch all day, but actually resting in God and just see if he speaks to me. So it's definitely hard to balance all of that, and I think it's something we all can struggle with, but trying the best I can.
FOMO is real, and it can also be a distraction, because when I'm so afraid of missing out on everything that's happening, fellowshipping with my friends, being at all the parties, being at all of the, just come crash at on my couch and we'll just chill kind of things. They can be very relaxing things that I'm going to, but if my schedule is so packed day in and day out, back to back, that I don't even have a chance to breathe and to really refill and refresh myself, I suddenly then have very little to give to anybody around me to be that good friend to you, Bailey, and to be that community and that support to you. And I can be so distracted and worn out by all of the things happening that I can't even be present where I physically am. And then that can, in turn, affect my future, because if I can't even be present where I physically am, how do I prepare and chase after those goals and desires that I have? And that's why I wanted to bring while we're talking about living in the moment, I also wanted to talk about how living in the moment can affect and distract us from even living in the moment, which sounds very contradictory. But as I got thinking about it, I was it's very true. My schedule can be so filled up with the present that I'm completely ignoring the future and completely ignoring even just the people in the same room as me because I can't keep up with everything because I've said yes to too many things or I want to do all the things. And that can be a form of distracting myself from setting those goals or those desires or not dealing with the things in the past because I don't want to. So I'm just going to distract myself with the here and the now.
Maybe that's why I don't really have a lot of goals, because I'm just distracted with living in the moment.
Oh, no.
And just trying to do everything I can. But it definitely does make me think maybe just trying every week just to take a day of rest and try to focus on what like God has in store for me in the future and things like that.
I did not mean it to come across that way, so I really hope it didn't, because from what you've shared and from working alongside you and being your friend and knowing you, you were very content with the season that you're in. Mm-hmm. And living open-handed so that when the Lord says, I have a new season for you, I have a new job title for you, I have a new, let's promote you and progress you in this way in your career path, or I have a potential new partner for you and he wants you to enter that season of dating someone and all of that. That's what comes across more to me than being so distracted by saying yes to everything that you're not even looking towards the future. I can only say that from the outside. I can't say where your heart and your mind are at. So I don't want what I said to come across as me trying to be like, oh, Bailey, you're actually like this. No, not at all. It's just something that I've noticed about myself and something I've fallen into in the past. And it's something that I think we could all easily fall into, but it's not something necessarily that we're all stuck in all the time.
Yeah.
We've covered a lot of ground today. Any last thoughts or things you want to share that will help us as we work on finding this balance of enjoying the season that we're in, enjoying the here and the now, while also either dealing with our past if that's something we need to do, getting ready for the future, learning how to just live well with the season that the Lord has us in?
So I kind of go back to worrying about the future because that almost messes with the present, because that takes up so much headspace and time and thought, and it can affect other things even if you don't necessarily realize it. So when I was thinking about this, my mind went to Luke chapter 12, verses 25 and 26, which says, "Who of you by worrying can add a single hour to your life? Since you cannot do this very little thing, why do you worry about the rest?" Which is just, why worry if it can't change anything? Being prepared is good for sure, and thinking through some things and being like, okay, how is this going to work and how is it going to look? But if you're spending so much time that it's all consuming and giving you anxiety, it just is going to affect the now. So my encouragement is to try to live in the moment. Don't focus exclusively on the future. And once you find trust in God's plan, it is just so freeing. That's been something that I've been working on, is just generally worrying less and trusting more. And for me, it's been relaxing and freeing. It's been really good. I'm not ignoring the future. I'm still thinking about it and preparing for it, but it's not constantly consuming me and is like, oh no, when is this going to happen? What if this doesn't happen? So by trusting more in the Lord and putting your faith in Him, and that takes time too. You have to do a lot of those things that Bailey was talking about, is taking time to rest, spending time in the Word and in prayer, and definitely fellowship. Good Christian friends can really help you grow. And as your faith grows, I find that sometimes it can help you to worry less and trust more.
I love that, because worry is something, whether it's past, present, or future, that can really just eat away at me. And just that good, helpful reminder of how to let it go and rest in the Lord and abide in the Lord. And I feel like that's something we've all said a lot, is abiding in the Lord and reminding ourselves of Him and His character. And I feel like in a sense I jumped to the past with the steps I need to take to live fully in the moment, because, again, back to my health issues and throwing that pity party, it also creates a lot of, my health has been a bit of a roller coaster. So there are times when I seem like a normal person. I'm living life normally. You wouldn't be able to tell a difference. Then there are times when I just don't have any energy and I'm just tired and barely can do what I need to do to get through a day. So that can cause me to not say yes to things, to not prepare for things, to not allow myself to enjoy things because of the fear of getting back to a place of, I have no energy, I can't do that, and I'm barely going to make it through the day. And reminding myself, the Lord is my strength. The Lord allowed this to happen. The Lord is in control. I need to, yes, be wise moving forward, and yes, take that into account, but not let that past/current event dictate what the Lord has for me next, and dictate not living in the here and the now, because it shouldn't have that much control over me. The Lord has given me so much and is my strength and my comforter, and He has a plan and a future for me, and just learning to abide in Him and live in that in the here and the now rather than being stuck in the past.
Yeah, since we keep talking about abiding, I figure I should read a verse, because this verse recently has been popping up in my life a lot, so I've been thinking about it. John 15:5, I am the vine, you are the branches. Whoever abides in me, and I in him, it is that bears much fruit. For apart from me, you can do nothing. And I just think that when we have that mindset, like, we really can't live this life without God. Like, it really helps you to focus on the here and now and to abide with Him. Also, I feel like we're like the ghosts of the Christmas carols. Jack is the future, Becky's past, and I'm present. That I was just thinking about that whole time we talked about that.
That is so true. I'm also so glad that it worked out for the three of us to be in this room talking about this today, because I've learned things from both of you guys about things that you battle, Bailey in the present, Jack in the future, and me reminding of myself of things in the past. And because I feel like with life being, I feel like life is not static. Life is fluid and moving. So while we each may pull towards one of those three things more often than other, that doesn't mean we don't battle those other things at times. So it's so nice to hear from your guys' perspective. So that way, when I'm in that part of life of battling the present or the future, I can be reminded of, oh, these guys struggle with that too. I'm not alone. And we got a chance to talk about it. And then I can come back and listen to this episode and be encouraged and navigate through that, hopefully a little bit better. And it's just really fun when it works, when the Lord works it out that way, where we all have a different perspective on the same exact topic. And I just love that when that happens. Thanks for listening to episode 28 of Every Single Journey. If you've liked what you've heard, click the subscribe button to be notified when future episodes are available. You can also share this on your social media pages so others can be encouraged too. You can learn more about Family Life Singles Ministry on our website at familylife.org. If you're looking for more faith-based content like this, be sure to check out Family Life's other original podcast, including If That Makes Sense, 10 Minutes With, You Can't Say That on Christian Radio, Therese Talk, and the Parable Podcast. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Your financial gifts make podcasts like this possible as we seek to share the hope we have in Jesus. You can find out more on our website at familylife.org.